Hi everyone, you're listening to the Haider Rifaat Show and I'm your host Haider Rifaat. As you may know, COVID-19 has largely affected the education sector in not just Pakistan but around the world. Many schools and universities alike have shifted their mode of teaching from practical classrooms to e-learning. However, online education is not accessible to all. The marginalized, often overlooked segment of the population have limited or no access to e-learning platforms. To further discuss online education, I've invited on my show today the CEO of Knowledge Platform, Mr. Mahboob Mahmood. Knowledge Platform is a startup that provides creative education and technology solutions to Pakistan's education sector. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahboob. It's a pleasure having you on the show. I would like to first ask you, how has the pandemic changed the way we look at education?
Heather, thanks very much for having me on your show. The coronavirus pandemic has been a coming of age for e-learning. The industry has been around for a long while, but only some schools and some teachers and students have taken it very seriously. Now, with everyone around the world being forced to study from home, e-learning has come front and center into the education experience.
And what shifts have you made so far at Knowledge Platform that are in line with the current pandemic?
Heather, in Pakistan, we have two offerings. One is Learn Smart Pakistan. Kids can go and sign online and study for free. And we had about 100,000 kids going into the coronavirus pandemic. We haven't had to make any changes. We've had a lot more users come on board, and also the intensity of use has gone up a lot. We had another offering, Learn Smart Classroom, where we put a projector, a laptop, and give clickers to kids in schools, and we had about 80,000 kids on there, and they also had ability to go online and study. Now, since the pandemic, we flipped Learn Smart Classroom around into Learn Smart Classroom Virtual Campus, so schools can set up their campuses within a few days, and we've had a terrific response. We've had about 600 schools approach us, and in the last 20 days already about 260 schools have signed up. It's been a phenomenal 20 days.
Now we know the pros of online learning, but it obviously has its downside. What is that downside? Would you like to shed some light on it?
One of the big cons in online learning is just simply the infrastructure and access requirements. You need some kind of device and you need bandwidth. So this means that kids who cannot afford that get crowded out. Hopefully this issue will be resolved, especially as the benefits of e-learning start to come clear, because actually even with the infrastructure costs, it's much cheaper and effective way to learn. The other thing is e-learning is not sufficient in itself. You need strong teachers. There's also a lot of things that schools do beyond just teaching subjects. So the best solution is a combination of online and offline learning.
Now this is interesting because technology and education is a very creative combination. So how effective is technology in online learning and to what extent?
Technology has a huge role to play in learning. Today we live in the world of artificial intelligence, and in Pakistan we have created solutions that create customized learning pathways for every child. Every child can get videos, games, assessments on topics that they are weak in, that will help them progress, that will give them confidence, and that will keep moving them along a learning curve. And we can do this at a terrifically low price. So technology is both effective and cheap.
But Mr. Mahboob, online education is also a luxury. Not many people have access to online platforms. Many areas lack the technology, the resources to access the curriculum for online studying, and the downtrodden segment, the neglected, the overlooked segment, the poor segment of the society is often impacted by this very problem. So how is KP looking into this, and what is the way forward according to you?
Heather, the marginal cost of online learning, including high quality online learning with personalized learning pathways, is very, very, very low. However, there is a cost in getting devices in the hands of everybody and giving them internet access. We should, as a country, and our government should say, let's tackle this problem once and for all. We could create a whole industry here to build devices or to assemble them here. Telcos already have bandwidth. We can figure out creative ways to create entrepreneurs who run small centers in schools, which are a combination of teaching and internet learning centers. So we can come up with creative ways to solve Pakistan's access problems. 23 million kids don't have education, and quality problems. 45 million kids don't get a good quality education. So there will be challenges in getting internet learning to kids, but over time, once we get the whole system up and running and we can figure out the bandwidth and the infrastructure costs and get consortiums going, we can transform education in Pakistan.
And how will learning be different post-pandemic? Do you see knowledge platform and schools returning to traditional means of teaching and learning?
I've been talking to educators in Pakistan, in Singapore, Philippines, China, United States, and other places about what do you think is going to happen after the pandemic. Everyone I've spoken to believes that the use of online education will not be as high necessarily as it is today, but it will settle at a very, very high level. The reason for this is that there are many benefits to this form of education. People can learn at their own pace, they can learn from home, and the actual cost of delivery of this education is very, very low. What the pandemic has done is familiarize schools, teachers, students, parents with this new format of education. After the pandemic, there may be a slight drop down in usage, but it will continue to be at a very, very high level.
And do you think that online learning is a sustainable solution?
Haider, right now we have a very unsustainable form of education in Pakistan. Kids go to school, then they come back and they spend a huge amount of time doing tuitions. The tuition centers are completely separated from the school, so the two activities are siloed. Kids end up paying money in school and then they end up paying money in tuition centers. So it's inefficient, it takes up a lot of time, and it's completely siloed. If you introduce a third element, online learning, it's cheap. It also connects all three components. Kids can go to school. We can get information on how they're studying there. They can study at home, convenience of home. And they can study for limited amounts for where they really are struggling through tuitions. So actually, for a lower cost than the current education system, you can deliver better learning outcomes by introducing online learning. So not only is online learning sustainable, it is sustainable within the current cost structure of education in Pakistan. I have no doubt that online education can and will transform education for the better.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahboob. It was a pleasure having you on the show. These were indeed some great takeaways. Thank you so much. That is all for now. Stay tuned for more on my official YouTube channel and Facebook page. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.